Okay, Ron, I've got another question from a member, and that question is, if I choose to follow another person's belief who is offering to help me with my project, and in going to redemption, is it possible that they are part of evil? And if I choose their help and accept their help, could I be choosing a lower timeline because they're part of evil? Any comments on that?
Uh, you're asking the ability of an individual to determine whether the person they're working with is an evil person. As if you can't determine yourself if that is an evil person. You know, one of the most important things that you have coming to you in your life is to be able to evaluate people for work that you want them to do. You're going to, and this is where the problem with groups comes in. Groups have a leader, and all of the bonds are put together, and they go in there, and they're going to do this, and they're going to do that, and then they find out, no, we're talking about people here. We're not talking about groups and leaders of groups getting funds. It doesn't happen that way. You as an individual will, if you're determined to be a humanitarian, then the money will come to you. Then, if you want to work with other people who are also humanitarians and get money, then those can be companions, those can be partners, they can be the ones that you help to work together with. That's okay. But getting the money is not a public thing. It's not a club. It's nothing more than just a ruse, because you're not going to get the funds for a group. Why? Who's in charge? The group guy, the leader. And you are subservient to that leader if you go ahead and get funds and you join with them or whatever. It's not going to work that way. Just will not. When you get funds, you cannot have anybody who's in control of you, period. Exclamation point. Even if it's your husband or wife. You get your funds, they get theirs. Who's the boss of you? Well, it's oftentimes the person who's in charge of the money beforehand. Well, that can happen afterwards, but you cannot override another person's if they say, no, I don't want to do that. You better not try and convince them as if you have power over them. That will mean that you don't qualify to get the funds to begin with. How do I say this loud enough and strong enough? Power over other people is an offense to God. You're powering over another God. Do you think that he's going to like that? He or she, whatever you want to call it, is going to like you doing that to one of his gods? He doesn't cease to be God just because you want to be a jerk. No. There are certain things that being that way you won't get. And a lot of it has to do with you don't get the idea that you're not who you think you are. So it's really important for you to understand that. Okay, I think I've said that long enough.
Good. And Ron, I appreciate that. I'd also just like to say that I think this was actually a really good question, because so much is required of us right now to discern. There's just a lot of misinformation and deception out there that we really have to go in within our hearts to determine if that does make sense, because it just seems like it's ramped up. And so I was actually glad this person asked that question, just to clarify the fact how important it is that no one person should overrule you, that you are your own king and queen of our dominions. Am I right on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. And so I'm
Maybe I
glad
should
you
have had you
clarified.
say it.
No, no, you did a great job. This is a nice reminder for all of us to be very careful because it just seems to be out there. It's spreading like a virus more and more often, and we have to really pay close attention. So
Yeah.
with that, everyone, and Ron, thank you. And we'll be back for the last question.